Welcome everyone to Sister Wives with Mary Jane Kay. I will still be covering Sister Wives, including the one-on-one finale, and then I'll start with season 1, episode 2, since I've covered the first episode. But I came across a series on A&E that I found a little bit interesting, and it's also available on Hulu and other streaming platforms. It's called Adults Adopting Adults. And the first 2 episodes are actually available without login on the A&E website as well. And I thought it would be really interesting to cover considering I've never heard of this concept before. The show centers around 6 adults who would like to have a true family. So they seek out legal adoptions by adult couples who long for family as well. I'm not particularly close with my family and I love my alone time, and I can't imagine, even if I had a place to call home other than my own home, wanting to pursue those bonds through legal adoption to other adult couples as an adult. It seems like a recipe for disaster. I can understand bonding with people, becoming like family even, but to move into someone's home and on paper accept to be adopted as an adult is not something I'd ever feel comfortable doing. I want to go into this open-minded, but I've just got through the first 20 minutes and already I see a bunch of red flags. The episode starts in Ohio with Danny and Christy. They live alone as a couple with multiple cats. They look to be in their 50s plus. Danny and Christy plan to adopt Ileana, 20, and she's a young woman who is pregnant and she is from Austria. They have bought her a flight to America and she is supposed to be on the plane over to the US, but they haven't heard from her since the morning. Danny met Ileana 3 months ago. One evening, he came across a post on a social media group, and it was a post Ileana made in a group for adults adopting adults, and we find out that her dad passed away when she was young, and she needed someone in her life. And Danny began communicating with 20-year-old Ileana through text, and they became acquainted. And Ileana sees Danny as a father figure. As Danny's explaining the texting and Ileana seeing him as a father figure, his wife Christy looks like parts of her soul are dying. She looks completely miserable with this. She has the look of despair and frustration in her eyes and all over her face, and it already seems apparent that she's cooperating because she loves her husband, but this doesn't seem to be wanted by her. Danny says Ileana is like his daughter and he always wanted a daughter in his life. As a couple, Christy and Danny can't have kids. He's an only child and he has no one to be his legacy. Producers ask Christy what her motivation is, and she answers, love. She's doing it for her family, and she defines her family as being herself and Danny. Danny asks Christy, his wife, if she would ever think they'd be adopting a grown woman who will be having a baby very shortly. Christy is concerned because Ileana will have a great need, and the baby she will have soon will have a great need as well. And she has never changed a diaper in her life. She has never wanted to change a diaper. She has a lot of love in her heart for her fur babies, but she's never really considered wanting to be a mother. Danny learned about adult adoption when an 18-year-old young lady came to adopt a puppy from them. Her father had passed away recently, and Danny felt a need to help her. She was interested in pursuing adult adoption, but Danny couldn't pursue it any longer because he had feelings for her that were romantic because she was attractive. Christy, his wife, says in addition to that, Danny has also been unfaithful in the past. That infidelity almost ended their marriage. Danny promised he would never cheat again, but now Ileana has surfaced, and she thought he's really doing this again. Danny is making a poster for Ileana's arrival, and he says if he was making the poster for himself, it would say, "Welcome to Ohio, where's my blowy?" Meaning BJ. He's laughing, and he finds this to be absolutely hilarious. He's totally tickled by his humor. This is just so odd to me. He's making a welcome poster for Ileana at the airport to hold it up while he's waiting for her with his wife, and he's joking that it was for himself. He would say, "Welcome to Ohio, where's my blowy?" And he's laughing hysterically as if he has the comedic prowess of Richard Pryor. And the thing is, he's making a big deal, being painstaking about saying that Ileana is just like his daughter. He wants a daughter. This is a father-daughter relationship. And yet on the sign he wants to put, "Welcome to Ohio, where's my blowy?" He knows this is a sore subject for his wife, and she's not even really on board. She's just tolerating this. And Danny is making jokes about BJ's regarding a pregnant 20-year-old he wants to adopt and be a father to. This is so sick. He seems like a sick old perv with a pattern. He finds younger girls with daddy issues and seems to groom them by stepping into a supportive role. Denny says he had feelings for one 18-year-old girl he wanted to adopt previously, and he's cheated before, and he promised he'd never do it again, even though he's already done it at least twice, if not more. His wife accepted his promise for some reason and accepted Ileana coming to appease him, but she doesn't really want it. What a mess. His wife isn't laughing at all at the joke, and she asks him why he's always a freak show. He asks where the half-naked girls are, and he's laughing hysterically. He keeps thinking that this is comedy gold for some reason, but he's the only one laughing at his jokes. Christy says that her husband has a lot of crazy thoughts and ideas, and that all of their friends and all of their family are really perplexed by Danny, by the way he behaves, by the things he says, by just the way that he is. Danny reiterates that him and Ileana have hit it off, and he thinks she would be a wonderful addition. But if his wife won't bond with Ileana, then so be it. So obviously we get narcissist vibes already. He doesn't see his wife as an equal whose feelings and wants and needs he respects and considers. None of how she feels matters to him at all. Danny insists on adopting Ileana even though the wife knows this is not a good idea, and most likely it's not going to be a parental bond that Danny develops. This guy is a manipulator. He is finding women who are struggling, broke, emotional, need guidance, and saying he'll be there. He'll be supportive like a father, and he will have his home be their home as well. He'll adopt them. But he has cheated before, developed attractions, and this time he is doing it with a pregnant girl. This will be a huge disaster. Alarm bells are already ringing. After Danny says, so be it if you guys don't get along, he requests that his wife bring him his milkshake as he's making perv jokes coloring his poster, and his wife wants to continue the conversation. He ignores her and asks for his milkshake, and he wants her to tell him how great the sign looks, and she actually brings him the damn milkshake. Christy says Danny likes to downplay her concerns and brushes them off every time, and he proceeds on no matter what she says. This is very reminiscent of Cody Brown. Disregards concerns, proceeds on regardless of what his wives say. Christy bought a trailer on their property to put Ileana in and her newborn in, and they are walking to the trailer, Danny and her, to make the bed. And Christy is carrying a heavy basket full of bedding and full of sheets, and Danny doesn't even offer to carry it once. He asks her if she remembered a pillow. He's the one who wants the adoption. Why doesn't he fix the trailer? Christy said the marriage isn't strong enough to move Ileana into the house. I have a feeling she feels her husband will have sex with Ileana or try to be a predator on her. Christy took the initiative to buy the trailer herself with her own money because she did not want Ileana in the home. If the marriage is already in such shambles, why are they bringing in anyone? Why are they not working on their relationship or parting ways? This seems like an added strain, and it seems like only one party involved wants this arrangement. Christy says she wants Ileana to be safe and comfortable and to have her own space, and she says that way she can sleep at night. I doubt she fears Ileana going on a late-night murderous rampage. 100% this is about the husband and not trusting where he will stick it. Christy seems like a sweet, kind, loving lady so far. Her husband seems to be ego-driven, narcissistic, pervy. He is gross looking on top of that, but it seems to me he has trouble keeping it in his pants, and he operates like a sick old man predator, finding young ladies with daddy issues or money needs, and he tries to take advantage. So he's manipulative, and he seems to be really sick too. The worst part is he knows Ileana is pregnant in a situation where she desperately needs support and financial support as well, and he seems to find people in need, pretend to help in a fatherly way, and then pray. Danny says he wants them to have ground rules as a couple so there isn't any miscommunication between them. Christy doesn't want Ileana having a house key yet. Danny says it's fine. He asks how his wife feels about him spending time alone with Ileana. He says obviously he knows he has to be appropriate, and he keeps repeating that, so obviously he's been inappropriate before. Christy says that will be great. As she is making the bed, the 20-year-old who is about to give birth will sleep in as her husband just stands there not lifting even a pinky. Danny is very concerned he may become physically attracted to Ileana. He says he has not thought of her so far as an attractive woman. Christy's friends all ask her what the fuck is wrong with her husband. They also tell Christy they want to kill him. Imagine being friends with a sweet, responsible, kind, witty lady, and she is with a husband who ignores all of her input, does what he wants, has become attracted to someone who was 18 he was supposed to adopt as a parent, has cheated before more than once in other incidences, and now is bringing a pregnant 20-year-old from another country to adopt. I'd be encouraging my friend to leave, but a lot of people don't like being alone, and I don't even think it's about financial responsibility. I think people fear being alone or living alone. Her friends question Danny's motives, but Danny doesn't care what people think of him. He's happy with who he is, and if people don't like it, they can move on. That's exactly what he says. In a way, I feel he was speaking to his wife, who was sitting right next to him, saying, I don't care your thoughts. If you don't like me, as is, move on. Next, we meet Kim and her husband Joe from Las Vegas. They have 2 kids that are under the age of 10. Kim found out about adult adoption years ago, but she never considered it until she met Vicky and Joe, who will be adopting her. She wants her young kids to have grandparents to be involved in their lives since her in-laws aren't involved. She needs that support, and she used to Google adoptive grandparents. And then she found a social media group, and she found Vicky and Joe, who live in Las Vegas also. Vicky is loving and kind, and Kim wishes she had a mother like that. She was seeking a motherly figure. We learned Kim was born in Korea and she was adopted and brought to the United States, and she's estranged from both of her adopted parents because it wasn't a positive, happy childhood. I can relate to wanting to feel you have a mom who is loving and kind and deeply empathetic and compassionate and giving unconditional love. Everyone wants that. Everyone wants to be close with their mother, but not everyone gets it. And I can understand Kim wanting a mother like she wished she could have had. But I'm not sure being adopted as an adult with a husband and your own kids will really fulfill that lack from her childhood. Kim started speaking with her adopted mom again, the one who raised her as a child, and they are talking now, but she doesn't know that Kim plans to be adopted by Vicky yet. The producer asks Kim if this new adoption by Vicky is a way to get back at her adopted mother who raised her, and she says no, not at all. The producer asks Kim's husband how he feels about the adult adoption of his wife, and he says honestly it sounds like a joke, but how he feels and his comfort level with it doesn't matter. I think he seems like he just wants his wife to be happy and feel fulfilled, so he's willing to accept it, and I don't think it's a situation where he will feel threatened or uncomfortable in any way. It's a different situation with Danny and Christy. We meet Vicky and Joe, the couple who will be adopting Kim as an adult. They've been married for 30 years. They have known Kim and her husband Joe for almost 3 years, and they want to adopt Kim as an adult to be their daughter and to be the grandparents of Kim's kids. Joe is a truck driver and Vicky is disabled with a back injury. We learn that Kim is an accountant and Joe is an attorney, and they actually offered for Vicky and Joe to move in with them. Vicky admits that there is an income gap between them and Kim and Joe, but Kim's family does have more income, but it has never been an issue. What matters to Vicky is getting to have her own grandkids. They meet the grandkids and Kim and her husband Joe at swimming lessons, and we learn that Vicky has 2 adult sons from her first marriage, and she also has a 3rd son with Joe, who is the youngest. Vicky always wanted grandkids, but it hasn't worked out yet. None of her kids have given her any grandkids. Joe, Vicky's husband, was skeptical of having surrogate grandchildren. It seemed very odd to him. Joe is talking with Kim's husband, also named Joe, about how Kim's childhood adopted mom is now around and in the picture all of a sudden, and how Vicky was worried that it would mean she was no longer going to be able to adopt Kim. Joe, Vicky's husband, is worried about how Kim's adopted mom from childhood will feel about Vicky adopting her as an adult. Kim's husband says it won't go well. Kim admits her adopted mom from childhood, who is now on speaking terms with her, won't take this well. She will tell her, but not at the upcoming birthday party for her daughter. Vicky agrees with Kim that they shouldn't bring drama to a child's birthday. Vicky will meet Kim's mom, Valerie, for the first time at the birthday party. Kim says she doesn't care how her mom takes it. She made her own bed. This is how the chips will fall. We don't know why Kim and Valerie, her childhood adopted mom, were estranged, but we do know she had an unhappy childhood, and we can speculate there might have been control or some type of abuse or walking on eggshells. But the way Kim reacts regarding her childhood adopted parents, I don't think it was something minor or a one-off. Vicky reassures Kim that these kids are ours, meaning they're grandkids, and Valerie can't take them away. No one can take them away. Next, we go to Broome, New York, where we meet Derek and Carol and their adoptee, Bianca. Bianca found old photos of them and they are going through them at their house. And we learn that this is Carol's third marriage. It is also Derek's third marriage as well. And Derek has no kids. He was a bachelor till he was 40. And they are adult adopting Bianca, who is now 23 years old. Carol met Bianca at work. She is the VP for Student Development and Chief Diversity Officer at a community college. Bianca was a student leader who was misunderstood. She was mouthy and headstrong. Carol saw someone who needed unconditional love. Bianca is from the Bronx. She says all she wants is a family. Her childhood was unconventional and her mother struggled with her demons and substance abuse, and her father did suffer from substance abuse as well. She lived in foster care a lot. She lived in different homes until she was aged out at 21. She says growing up in foster care and living in poverty shapes her worldview, and everything she did was just to make it to the next day. And Bianca says she can be down and broke and still find a way out because that's just her. She's determined. She's resourceful. Derek explains that Bianca's family suffered with drug addiction, and he realized in the back of Bianca's mind, she must have wondered when it will end, when she will be abandoned again, when she will be rejected again. So he told Carol, his wife, his concerns, and he decided that they would have to adopt Bianca to resolve this. Carol says that they are all in and they're very excited. Bianca says that she saw the life she wanted and they are financially well off. So instead of struggling when things get hard, her parents can help her when she has needs. Derek says he invited Bianca into the family because he wanted her to know she has a home. She will always have a home. He doesn't want her picking the stripper pole, and she jokes that she actually has a stripper pole at her house. Bianca has two sides, the professional Bianca and an alter ego she refers to as Gina, the outgoing, cool, fashionable, fun, hood version of her. Her parents brought her a designer bracelet for graduation, and she says that that's one of the nicest things she owns, one of the nicest things she has ever owned. And her mom has a beautiful collection of shoes, and she leaves things on the bed for Bianca to wear. The producer asks what people's perceptions of her might be. And Bianca says some people will feel she's using or manipulating her way to be in a situation with people who have money. But she says, screw what people have to say. She is going to live her life and she's so happy. Derek says Bianca is highly intelligent and driven, and his wife interjects that she's a daddy's girl. Derek says he feels he got the better end of the deal. Carol tells us there has only been one naysayer, her stepdaughter, that she is close to, and it is hard for her to come to grips with the adoption because she got close to students before. And when she was married to her stepdaughter's father, there was a student Carol brought into their home because she needed a home, and they are no longer on speaking terms because that student and her husband had an affair. She was clueless, and she found out as a surprise, and she was completely blindsided by it. So Brittany, Carol's stepdaughter, from her previous marriage, remembers Carol bringing the student into the home and the student having an affair with her dad, and she doesn't support Carol adopting Bianca in this situation with her current husband. She has cut off all communication with Carol because of it. Back to Christy, Danny, and Ileana in Ohio. Ileana has just landed in Chicago and she has a connecting flight to Ohio, but there may not be enough time to make it since she is in customs and immigration. After Chicago, they haven't heard from Ileana, and it's now been hours. Danny is stressed and anxious. They cannot reach Ileana anywhere. Christy said they spent money on Ileana's plane ticket, and now it's possible that she might be ghosting them. Christy, Danny's wife, is worried she is being used, and Danny is also being used. Danny has been sending money for a couple months, and Danny says Christy has concern about Ileana's legitimacy or if she is a catfish. Danny says Ileana never mentioned coming to the U.S. before he mentioned it to her, and she has never thought of it on her own. Danny seems incredibly gullible, and Christy seems to be the more rational one of the two. She says Danny can be clueless sometimes. They're getting stuff ready, and he tells her, I need you to move faster. Fuck the water, because she's filling her water bottle so she can have her water bottle as they travel to the airport that's hours away. But as he's ordering her to go faster, he's doing absolutely nothing but just stand there. Christy says Danny gets what he wants, and if he does not get it, it's a problem for her or whoever has stopped what he wants. It seems to me like she has to live her life walking on eggshells and appeasing her husband, or else he makes a problem, and it seems to me she tolerates and shuts up to keep things peaceful, to keep things going smooth. He seems like an ego-driven narcissist who is super gullible and less than intelligent, and Christy seems to be the one who has to not only appease him and take his orders, but to clean up his messes and try and steer him to avoid caution signs and red flags while he berates her for preventing him from doing things his way, which more than likely is not the best way. Christy says Danny's stress level goes from 0 to 1 million in 5 seconds. The bigger the event, the less patience Danny has, the more stress he has, the quicker he boots into high stress mode. She looks so unhappy and so miserable. Back to Vegas with Vicky, Joe, and Kim. Joe and Vicky are meeting with Vicky's sister Teresa, who is unaware of their adult adoption plans. They tell Teresa that Kim is about 39 years old and she wants Vicky and Joe to adopt her so they can be the legal grandparents of Kim's kids. Teresa asks what's in it for Kim, and Vicky explains they want the grandparent experience, and Teresa goes, are you sure they just don't want reliable babysitters? Vicky says Teresa thinks Kim wants them in her life to be a babysitter, but they don't feel used. She says when adult adoption was brought up the first time, Kim spoke about her upbringing and how there was so much lacking with her childhood and her first adopted mom, so it made her want to search out a couple to adopt her and act as her parents. Vicky feels Kim's first adopted mom speaking with Kim is a gut punch, and she feared it because she had grown to love the grandkids and her and Joe, and she felt she'd be ripped away from all of them. She was afraid she was just a fill-in. Teresa mentions that it's weird how her other mom started coming in the picture after being estranged for years and years when Vicky came in, and Vicky acknowledges that she was worried the kids would be taken away. Back to Derek and Carol in New York. Derek is FaceTiming his brother on his birthday, and his brother mentions that the mom has valid concerns about Derek and Carol adopting Bianca. Derek wants to know why, and the brother explains that traditional adoption is with a child, and Bianca is a young woman. How is it legal to even adopt her? Derek's family accepted the adoption, but not his mother. His mother didn't react well to the news. She was suspicious, pessimistic. She wondered how Derek could call Bianca his daughter if they don't share the same blood. She couldn't understand Derek wanting to adopt an adult. The brother asks if they did a background check on Bianca. Derek explains that Bianca grew up in foster care her whole life and that she was a victim of her environment. Derek's brother asks Derek if he trusts Bianca in his home. Derek says yes. His brother says that the optics of having and adopting a fully grown young woman in his house and adopting her are very concerning. And he asks if Carol, Derek's wife, is cool with it. Derek says he has thought of the perceptions or the rumors that could start of him having an intimate relationship with Bianca. Carol and Derek have talked it over, they've talked about it, and she trusts him, according to Derek. He says if he was going to destroy his life, it would not be this way, by hooking up with Bianca or breaking Carol's trust. The brother says their mom would have comfort from knowing that. Derek says that he finds his mother's concerns to be disrespectful. He doesn't like how his mom talks about Bianca or her tone or the insinuations that she makes. He says his mom is protective of him, wondering who Bianca is, wanting him to do a background check, and he doesn't appreciate that. Derek says he is her son, yes, but not her child anymore. He is a grown man now. The brother says that there's a lot to unpack with their mom, and he wants Derek to speak with his mom directly because she isn't in a good place. Derek says that even if his mom doesn't respect his decision, if she is speaking to Bianca and in front of him, she has to pretend to respect his decision whether she really respects it or not. Derek says he won't be put in a position to choose between one family and another, and his primary family is right there with him. The brother supports him but wants him to deliver his own messages. Derek says that him and Carol and Bianca are a package deal and they're his family and his other family members can either choose all of them together or none of them at all. Back to Ohio to Danny and Christy, and they're at the airport, and Danny says that he's risked a lot. His relationship with his wife, and he is still risking it. Danny says he feels good, and this is how he will pay his penance by helping someone who needs a strong father figure. This is so disturbing. What does he keep meaning by pay his penance? I keep having this odd vibe like, what happened in his past that he feels he needs to pay back for it by being a father figure to someone? That is just so disturbing. I don't even want to know what he did. He's obviously carrying some kind of guilt that he feels will be ameliorated by doing this. This is incredibly disturbing. They are at the airport and Christy checks to see if Ileana has reached out or gone on social media, but there has been no trace of her for hours since she landed in Chicago. Danny says that maybe she is ghosting them. He's going to a bad place mentally. He likes being right all of the time, and all of a sudden, it actually looks like his wife has been right all along, that he actually might be being scammed just as his wife had imagined would be a possibility. Danny is concerned now that Ileana's agenda was to get to the U.S., but surprisingly, as he's going off on tangents wondering all of these crazy things, Ileana actually arrives. Danny says Ileana has entrusted him with her life and she traveled halfway around the world. And he says, she wants to be with me. She wants to be with me. Those are the words he said, with his wife sitting right beside him. She wants to be with me. He starts grabbing her luggage. When Christy carries stuff, he stands there with orders, not lifting a finger. But for Ileana, this man is making signs, carrying the luggage, saying she wants to be with him. I thought he wanted to adopt her as a father, and he's already saying stuff like, she wants to be with me. Wanting someone to be your adopted father doesn't mean you want to be with them. That's so weird that he said that. This is so wrong. He grabs the luggage and says, this is what dads do. We take care of stuff. Christy doesn't know how she feels yet. She's very concerned, but Danny wanted this more than she has ever seen him want anything ever. So she hopes for the best, but she's a realist. Ileana says she wasn't sure if Danny and Christy would be there. She felt good knowing that they were real people and not a scam. She wants to be adopted by Danny because she never met her father. She had a bad relationship with her mom, and she ended up on the streets. So she decided to find someone online because it isn't an option for her to be out on the streets with a newborn baby. She wanted to find a place to be before she gave birth. Danny says, Ileana needs me, and I couldn't be happier. He says he had to wait for his hug, but he loves her to death anyway. He tells her he loves her and that there's different types of love, and the thumbnail or cover photo will be the picture of Danny and Christy sitting side by side as he explains how he loves Ileana. Look at how elated and happy Danny is, and how defeated and miserable and closed off Christy looks. He keeps reiterating that there are different types of love, and it's an appropriate love. And Christy frowns and turns to him like she is smelling shit because she seems to have an inkling that Danny doesn't have the right type of love for Ileana. This is the guy who joked about making a welcome sign asking for a blowy. He says he's been calling Ileana his daughter for a while, and he will protect her till he dies. The bond is there, and it has only gotten stronger. I think Danny is a sicko perv. I don't believe he sees Ileana and views her as a daughter at all. I think Ileana was homeless and about to give birth. She needed a home, and she probably is tolerating Danny because she needs a home. And Danny will try to manipulate the relationship, knowing Ileana has to rely on him to survive, especially with a newborn baby in a foreign country. And I think his wife is really miserable about the whole thing. She knows Danny will try and perv on Ileana at some point, and she knows Ileana is using them for a place to stay. And I really don't know why she stays and tolerates Danny at all. Next, we are back in Vegas with Kim. Kim's mom arrives today, and Kim is very nervous. She can't sleep. They haven't talked in 8 years. They had an argument, and they weren't in a good place, and they had words. And there were problems with Kim growing up, and it had to do with her dad, who was very overpowering. Her first mom, Valerie, knows that she did not protect Kim as well as she should have. She says it was hard, and she was a different person then, and she's thankful that their relationship is better now. Kim tells Valerie about Vicky and Joe coming, And her mom asks, oh, the bonus grandparents? Kim reconnected with her mom when she heard from her aunt that the mom was terminally ill. But then she found out that that was not the case, that her mom was not terminally ill. Kim says they are working on their relationship and she seems to have changed a lot. And Kim tells her mom that it filled a void having Vicky and Joe there, having someone close to talk to for parenting advice and life advice. And when her oldest was little, she really hated being a mother. She was very depressed, she didn't like it, and she had no one to talk to. So she wanted someone in their lives, and the mom says she wanted to be that someone, but she knows they didn't get along very well, but that they are here for each other now, from now on, and Kim can call her anytime with any issue. Her mom tells her, you mean the world to me, your kids mean the world to me, and there are tears. It seems like a genuine heart-to-heart conversation. And Kim tells Valerie she will always be their grandma no matter what. Kim says her mom has grown a lot and she hopes that this is real. She's not sure if it's real. She's worried telling her about Vicky and Joe adopting her as an adult might ruin the relationship with her initial adopted mom. And she is going to wait until after the birthday. She doesn't want to cause any drama regarding that. Back to Ohio and Christy and Danny and Ileana. Danny makes Ileana breakfast, and Ileana says that the intentions of the people in the adult adoption group on social media were questionable, and you really have to get to know them and you have to see beyond the screen what these people actually want, what they want from you, what their intentions are. And she seems very smart, even though she was in a situation on the streets, to be very level-headed and very intelligent. Danny is elated. And he reminds me of when Cody got engaged to Robin, if any of you watched Sister Wives as well, with the string ring, and they were all giggly and in love and elated and that love light beaming, glowing. But this is really off because he is supposed to be adopting her as an adult daughter for him to be reacting in this way and having these kind of vibes and this kind of elation, like he's walking on sunshine regarding her. And Danny says Ileana is grateful and it feels real and that she is cute and as the day is long. And he wants her to go, that's my dad, and name him and own him as her father. Danny tells Ileana he wants her to stay right here, meaning in the house around him, by his side. And he says he likes hugging on her and she's awful sweet. And Danny says that he likes hugging on her and touching her in front of his wife. And the wife looked incredibly unhappy at that. Her face totally changed. I really don't understand how she can take this. It must be like a knife to her heart, especially when she probably knows Danny's true intentions. Danny says he's wanted a daughter for a long time and getting her to the U.S. has been a challenge between Christy and him and their relationship. Ileana says that she has had a fast connection with Danny. They've talked a lot and quickly come to understanding each other. And Christy was very unsure at the beginning because this was Danny's thing, Danny's project. Danny says there have been many heated discussions, so he's very happy that Christy is coming around. The producer asks Ileana if she knows the reasons behind Christy's hesitation about her, meaning the past adoption that didn't work out because he developed feelings, meaning the past cheating that Christy had to endure and put up with. And Ileana says that it was about stress, not knowing Ileana, not knowing if she's a scam, because adult adoption isn't a normal thing. Danny says the three of them will be like a family and share things. And then he turns to Christy, his wife, in front of Ileana and asks her if she is willing to share their marriage problems. And if she is, this is the perfect place to do it. Meaning he wants Christy to discuss all of their relationship and marital issues with Ileana in front of Danny, all three of them kumbaya. Danny seems to be triangulating a third person into their marriage as if Ileana is a sister wife. This is so disrespectful to Christy and her feelings and her status as his wife, and it also puts Ileana in an awkward and inappropriate position as well. Danny, I keep wanting to call him Dave because to me he looks like a Dave. Danny has no self-awareness at all, much like some other narcissistic tendency men that we know, like Cody Brown. He's really putting Ileana, a 20-year-old who's pregnant, in an awkward and inappropriate position. Would a husband and wife discuss their marital issues with their daughter? They're saying they're going to adopt Ileana as their daughter. Is it appropriate to discuss these things in front of their daughter? Christy just says no, and she can barely even get the word no out. It's disgusting to watch how Danny has treated her. And then she starts really crying. She's very upset, understandably. I think Danny wants someone to gang up on Christy with, so he wants to triangulate Ileana to keep Christy in line. And he's completely disrespecting his wife and their marriage and their private issues. It's just really, really, really hard to watch. Christy starts to cry and she says it does her no good to say anything. And she's always the voice of reason. She says, it's not fair to bring another person into a situation that has issues. And she asks for a moment. She knows that Danny's behavior is off, that it would be inappropriate to involve Ileana. And she also knows that it's very disrespectful to her. She walks off, she takes her moment. Danny makes no effort to follow her or to comfort her. Instead, he tries to cater to Ileana, trying to make her a meal, asking if she needs more coffee, while his wife is in tears. Thanks everyone for watching Sister Wives with Mary Jane K. Please like, comment down below your opinions on this adult adoption. Share and subscribe. I will see you guys next week for the tell-all with Sister Wives. And I will still, again, when this season is over, I will still be covering Sister Wives. But from time to time, if I find anything that interests me, I might cover it. I might cover Seeking Sister Wives if there's a new season. I might even cover that from the beginning. I might cover Married at First Sight. I might cover different things. And I also have a separate channel for 90 days as well. So occasionally I might add different shows as well, but I will always, always, always cover Sister Wives on this channel as the main thing. And I appreciate all of my subscribers, anyone listening so much. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone. See you guys next week for the finale of the one-on-one special on Sister Wives. Bye.